Do you find you have results that you just keep creating on the golf course over and over again? Or maybe it's a particular hole that you just can't play well, or even par threes. You just keep doing the same thing. And maybe you find yourself saying, that's just who I am, or that's just what I do. In this episode, we're going to discover how to find all those golf results and how you can shift them to create something better. Let's go. Welcome to Above Par. I'm your host, Kathy Hartwood. I show you how to take more of your talent to the golf course without practicing harder, taking more lessons, or buying new equipment. I show you how to end the frustration of underperforming so you can start playing to your potential. This is where you are going to learn how to think above par so you can play below par. Let's get to it. Hi, my golf friend. Welcome back to Think Above Par. I'm super happy you're here, super happy you're listening and sharing this podcast with other people and sending me all those amazing messages that I get about how much value you're getting out of listening to this podcast. So anyway, what I wanted to talk to you today about was something that I talked about in my membership. We're working on self-awareness this month, talking about the different ways that we can have self-awareness. We can have self-awareness relative to our thoughts. We can have self-awareness relative to situations. Like every time I tee off, that would be the first hole. I have this series of events that happens. It could be our emotions, having anxiety on a consistent basis. We can have self-awareness about things that we do, like we squeeze the club harder, we swing faster, we notice that we don't focus so well in certain situations, our tempo's off, we might come out of our posture on certain shots. That's something that we do over the golf ball. But this week in Think Above Par, we talked about results. We talked about really getting curious about what results you create for yourself on a consistent basis over and over again. You just keep doing the same thing consistently. And often because we're not self-aware, we just say kind of like, that's who I am. I'm just a person who does blank. I want you to listen and look for the results that you are creating for yourself over and over again on the golf course, because there's a thought behind it that you can shift. You can start changing those if you get really curious versus just accepting them for that's who I am, or that's the way it goes, or that's just hard for me. So what I want to do here in the time that we have together is I want to share some results that you might recognize, or you might recognize it in other people. And then you get an opportunity to look at yourself and say like, I wonder where I might be doing something similar to that. So ironically, a common theme that came up, and I must do a podcast on this just separately, was par threes. Struggling off of a par three or certain holes or certain numbers. So I want you to pay attention. Do you struggle on par fives? Maybe par fours, par threes? Do you say to yourself, I just never hit the green on a par three? I always make a big number on a par three. Anytime you're hearing the word always, by the way, that's a red flag, right? So listen for that. It could be a certain number hole. I had this come up in one of the index cards. It was just 6 and 11. I struggle with those two holes every single time. I pull them left. Those happen to be par threes, but there's certain numbers. I pull it left every single time. That's just who I am. No, we got a thought behind it. We get to shift that. You get to create a different result. You get to think about it differently. Because what happens is there's a thought behind it that you're thinking over and over again, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And when it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, meaning maybe the thought is, I always hit it left on this hole. I never play this hole well. This hole is hard for me. I never hit par threes. Your brain wants to be right. And when your brain wants to be right, it's going to say, see, here we go. We did it. Yay. Right. And then you build more and more evidence of the thought. So then the thought becomes really ingrained in your brain, like in cement. And it becomes very hard to shift because you will argue for the thought. You'll say, yeah, but I have so much evidence. I haven't hit this green in the last 20 times I've played it. So I'm right. I mean, our brain likes to be right. And as humans, we like to be right. But you get to decide also, do I want to keep it? Is there maybe something else I can think about? Is there a different way to look at this? How could I be wrong about this? How could I do something differently on this hole in this case? Okay, so certain pars, maybe certain numbers, maybe certain distances that you have, like I always do this one thing from this certain distance. Maybe there's certain shots. I always fat it out of a fairway bunker. Right now, it's important to note that we're not looking for mechanical problems. Like if you cannot do it on the range, then that's a mechanical issue that you get to work on. But if you're just doing it and creating that same result for yourself all the time on the golf course that you actually can do on the range, that's something to look at. It might be in putting. This is a common one. I just always 3-putt a couple times. That's just kind of who I am. But maybe your putting's better than that, because behind it, you might have a story that you're not a very good leg putter. Or behind it, you might have a story that you just really are always due for a few 3-putts. And if you have that thought, your brain's going to want to be right. You're going to come down to 15 or 16 and you're going to go, you know what? I haven't had those 3-putts. And guess what's going to happen? 16, 17, and 18, 3-putts. Your brain's like, there you go. You've been waiting for this sucker all day. There you have it. The other one was I don't finish well. If you notice that as a pattern of a result that you're creating, that you're not finishing very well, that is a wonky thought. That is a result that you're creating for yourself. And you get to work it backwards. If you're familiar with steer, if you're not familiar with steer, make sure you connect with me. You can see some of the links below in my description, but that's where we put it into the formula. We put it down there in the result and we work it backwards to discover what is the thought that I am saying to myself, or the belief that I have that I'm saying to myself that I'm creating this result over and over and over again. Do I want to shift it? Do I want to change it? And if you do, then you got to get curious. Could be that I'd never get off to a good start. I never put 2 good rounds together. I always have a blow up hole somewhere in the round. Right? This is common. People are like, oh, I thought I was going to make it through the round without a blow up hole. And lo and behold, 17, there it is. I'm like, of course, because you have this belief that you're supposed to have a blow up hole. Right? And your brain's like, whoa, time out. We're running out of holes. You need to make an 8. Right? And I know it's not funny, but it's kind of funny at the same time, because our brain is just doing its job. It's just responding to something that we've repeated so many times that we believe, and it just wants to prove evidence. It wants to provide it for us. And this is the thing that's beautiful about witnessing this, is it will provide evidence for something that serves you, that's better, that's useful, when you know how to pivot, when you know how to shift to something different. But we have to be really self-aware of the results that we're creating for ourselves over and over again. Okay, so let me give you a few other examples. You might say that you don't play very well with a partner. You don't play very well in a best ball, or maybe stroke play. You never play well in the club championship, right? That's a result. You never played well in one-day qualifiers, whatever it might be for you. So there might be formats of tournaments that you just say, I don't play well in these. You might say that I always hit it in the junk, like the desert or in the bushes or in the trees on certain holes. I never get over the water. I never play well in the rain or the wind, or with certain people. You might find that it's a club that you don't hit well, a certain club, like your 5 rescue, your 3-wood. Right? Let's get curious. Is it something that you have a wonky thought behind it? It could be the club, could be the equipment, but if you can do it on the range and you hit nice shots, but you're on the golf course and you take out your 5 rescue or your 3-wood or whatever club and you just hit these big old duck hooks that are out of the ordinary, there's something to look at, right? We gotta kind of stop the bleeding and get really curious. Why do I keep producing this result for me on the golf course? It could be this came up in the call, is that I don't play well when I have to keep score, but I play well when I don't keep score. Now, this is ultimately the biggest challenge because our score means something to us. It's about getting curious. I wonder why I'm doing that. It's not just surrendering to I'm just a person who doesn't play well in tournaments. Let's find the thought behind it. What are the emotions that you have when you're playing golf? And if you're playing well when you're not keeping score, then it's totally 100% possible that you can play well when you're keeping score. It's just the thoughts and the importance that you put on your results and your score that is keeping you from creating those results. It could be other people, certain people, like Betty. I always pick on Betty. Like, I just never play well with Betty. And you just kind of surrender. That's just kind of who I am. I don't play well with Betty. No, that's a result that you create for yourself from a thought that you have about Betty and about playing well. And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy for you. Okay, my friends. So what I want you to do is I want you to look for the results that you have been creating for yourself over and over again. Using the list of things that I suggested here, take a look, because that's an opportunity for you to break that pattern. I don't want you just to surrender to it. I don't want you to say that's just who I am. I'm just a person who has a blow-up hole. I'm so cute. I mean, you can still be cute and not have a blow-up hole is all I'm saying. So look for those results that aren't serving you, and let's work it backwards and find the thought in there that is not useful. that becomes that self-fulfilling prophecy, and you get the opportunity to shift that. And if I can help you, if you want to learn more about how to do that, make sure you look at all the links below where you can connect with me. You can go to kathyhartwood.com for some of my programs or jump on a discovery call with me. I'm happy to help. All right, my friends, have a beautiful week, and I'll talk to you next Wednesday. Bye.